Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 173. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Brett Murdoch.
Hey, everybody.
And Adam Vale.
MLS season is back. Hope you're watching that soccer, boy.
All right. Speaking about soccer, Brian's not here. He doesn't like soccer. We got to remind Adam
fake
that.
news right there. I think that's just something he's fighting because it's just, the stereotype and stuff. So he's just fighting it.
He has to fight it and shit.
Watching that man Chelsea game that happened. What?
Yeah, and Chris is he's not here tonight, and he may be on Throwdown. I just learned this man's moving. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we didn't know about this. So.
I didn't hit me in the face with facts.
He's going back to Queens.
Maybe he is coming back.
That's what I said on Facebook. He said, "I'll see you at the burrito bar." I'm like, "What?"
Man, you making shit up. That's fake news right there. That's fake news.
I don't know, man.
All right, a couple of things before we start here. Elite Prophet, my man, you won the shit, bro. You won the Cydia Ultimate Collector's Edition, and you haven't hit me up yet, man.
Come on, man. If you don't do it, that means we got to do a redraw. So
yeah, so we're gonna give you until Thursday, episode 174, and if you have not contacted us by that time, we will give the price to somebody else. You know the price is there, man. Come on, son.
It's waiting. It's waiting.
Get your free shit.
Yeah. Also, you know what? I'm gonna do this now. I want to tell you guys this crazy Monster Hunter story that happened last night. We had the craziest stream, man.
Yeah, and it was a crazy stream.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the YouTube guys missed a good chunk of that because the video still hasn't finished processing yet after 24 hours, which is stupid. I mean,
how long were we playing? Like 3 hours, right?
3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, which is the same time we did the last one. But I put a link in there to the Twitch one because the whole thing is there. Right. So anyway, this is what happened. Right. We were just playing as normal, and some random Japanese guy jumped into the comment section on YouTube, and he was, he made it clear. He was like, listen, I'm Japanese. I may have a little bit of a hard time, saying some stuff. He's like, but I have some Japanese exclusive content. I could jump into your game. I can help you guys get it. And we're like, what? And luckily for us, we had Subgata with us who's fluent in Japanese. So they're, he's talking to him and stuff. So we got him into the room and stuff. And okay, so it's this mission where you have to fight 3 Jagras. They're 3 different sizes, and he had equipment on that dropped a ton of shit from him.
Yeah.
So by the end, we were able to make these swords and stuff. It was nuts.
It was a special. It was a from what Subgata said. It was a special joint promotion with Universal in Japan. So there's an armor set, a special armor set that's Japanese only. This crazy long sword that glows and is blue, and like a samurai armor for your palico. So I guess next week is the armor. So this week was the sword and the palico armor. The crazy thing is, it's just the guy was so cool about it. He just kept on playing the mission over and over and over again until we got all the pieces to make the weapon and the palico armor.
Yeah, and again, he just did it because of the kindness of his heart, I guess. It was interesting that some random stranger from another country would just do this for fellow players. It was really, really cool. So, and he said he wants to help us out get the armor next week. So, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this just furthers Tony's theory that all Japanese people are secretly superheroes.
Yes.
I wonder if he just was looking for Monster Hunter streams and saw that we were just there, or if he knew anything about our show, or I wonder what his deal was. But it was really nice of him. What was his name on there? Do we want to say what it was?
Oh, well, if you see the stream, his name is there. It's like Shira. I don't know the guy's name. It was something. It was. Anyway, really cool. So hopefully we'll meet the guy again next week. He said he's down, and again, Subgata facilitated all that for us, which is really cool. Again, how many podcasts do you guys know that stream video games and have fans joining, and that fan just so happens to be a Mexican guy that's fluent in Japanese? That's pretty rare,
And
he wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carlos is a weeb and shit. He's in training.
I mean, and then, we every so often we get to ask Mr. Gaeta about how he even ended up over there, and it's an interesting story. He even says it, and it's also inspiring what he says. Just like if you really want to do something, just do it.
Yeah, because he was playing that Japanese trip for a long time, for like a decade, and then he finally did it.
Yeah,
and he works out there now. He
had been there for 10 years. He said, which is crazy. That's a while, man. That's like 1999. I don't know. I can't remember. 2000, 2009 or something.
2007, I think he said he.
2007. Yeah, that's a while there, man.
So yeah, shout out to this guy. We said his name earlier, man. So shout out to Sub Gaeta, man.
Yeah,
fucking definitely.
Awesome. Tell him the other part now.
Oh, okay. So that was the first crazy thing that happened, right? And then the second crazy thing was, one of the fans joined us, right? His name was Josh, right? Now, I don't know how old Josh is, but his mom was in the room with him and stuff, and we were talking and stuff, and it turned out that he's from a neighborhood that Carlos knows in Washington, D.C., right? What was the name of the neighborhood again, Carlos?
Well, it's not a neighborhood, it's a town.
It's
in Maryland. It's called Laurel. Yeah.
Laurel. So you asked him, like, are you anywhere near Laurel? And my man goes like, nigga, I am from Laurel. It's like, oh, shit. And then like after we talked for a little bit, he's like, hey, I'm sorry about the N-word. I'm like, listen, you can say nigga all you want here, just don't say the other one with the ER, right? Now his mom was in the room when he said that, and she was like, you saying that shit on the show? So she started like, no, I don't want to think we're bad people, and we're like, yeah, it's cool. And he's like, hold on. So she gets on the stream. This dude's mom gets on the stream with us, and she's apologizing and stuff. And then the more we talk to her, it's like, and I just me, I'm bold. I'm like, have you been drinking tonight? And she's like, yeah, just some wine. Because she sounded fucked up drunk, and I think by the end of it, she even dropped the N-bomb. She's like, yo.
Yeah. Oh, no, she dropped it with the hard ER. See?
Yeah, she dropped like, yo, chill out with that, That was crazy ass stream. And then obviously after that, we went back to like our usual shenaniganry. But before that, that hour was nuts, man. It was crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And without further ado, we shall move on to the questions, man. So we're started off by Mr. Him Deal, which is pretty cool. All right. His first one is, now that Detroit Become Human has a release date, when will we see Spider-Man and Days Gone release dates drop? I'm gonna just say this: just because you got a release date for one Sony exclusive doesn't mean you're gonna get exclusive. You're gonna get dates for other ones. They're all separate things. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they're gonna be like, oh shit, we gotta drop our release dates now. Just be patient, man. They're coming. They're coming. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just because one said what their release date is doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna say it.
Yeah, and the thing is like, because he also wants us to take a guess at when the release. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to just say both of them are coming out this year, sometime this year. That's all I'm going to say.
I think Spider-Man is going to come out in the summer. Because, I mean, that's kind of like blockbuster season.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's kind of loosely, well, it's based on the Spider-Man movies, but yeah, I think we're getting like this consecutive monthly kind of exclusive Sony game, like every month we get, like we had what did we have this month? Like Shadow Colossus, we had Ni no Kuni, then God of War and Detroit, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So maybe like the next couple of months it's going to be these games, but I don't know. Hopefully, I know for sure. I think Spider-Man's going to be this year, and my prediction is this summer.
I say Days Gone holiday. Next year, Days Gone.
I don't think Sony's gonna. I don't think Sony's gonna drop any games during the holiday. They've learned their lesson.
Why is that?
Because think about it like this: they started releasing games in the the winter right after the New Year starts, and they got a really good return on their games. The game sold more because there was a lot of competition. When you release them during the fall, you're going to be in competition with all those big AAA games from Ubisoft and Activision and EA. Sony's like, we're not going to do that, and I think they're going to stick with that. They're not going to release any big games during the holidays. I haven't done it for 2 years, and I don't believe they're going to break that streak this year either.
Spider-Man is just such a big hyped game, though.
I don't know, man. Even against like Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption, I don't think so,
I think
man.
it is, man. It's up there. It's up there with those.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Carlos. I think it's gonna drop during the summer.
Summertime.
Don't you think we would have heard about it by now? Then
No.
No, not yet.
Well,
Sony
teasing
played
it for the longest. They've been teasing that it's almost.
Yeah, they've been
done,
teasing that game forever. Yeah.
We've heard enough.
And like, here's the thing: Days Gone. Even though, despite what I just said, I could see that maybe not the fall, but close to the fall coming out. But then again, I could also see that game being delayed till next year too. You know?
Yeah, this is definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna say definitely, but in my opinion, I don't think this is gonna be a November, December game. It might come out in September or August. September, the latest. But if it doesn't come out in September, it's definitely gonna be next year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. There's our predictions for release dates. Like, I don't really like predicting release dates, but there you go, man. You asked and we replied. All right. Next question here. Okay. He goes, I read an article a few weeks ago where Guerrilla Games said they were trying to get co-op working with Horizon Zero Dawn, but just couldn't get it by release date. Do you guys think co-op could make it into the sequel? If so, what would you like most about this kind of mode? All right. Here's my thing. If this is true, we don't know if this is true or not. If they wanted to get co-op in the first game but ran out of time, they're probably going to have it in the second one, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest, I don't want co-op in that game. I think Horizon works as a single player experience. But if the story, it works for co-op, then sure, I'm not against it. I just think if you're trying to tell the same type of story that's centered on Aloy, I don't think co-op really will work. But if the story is a little bit different, just set in that world, then yeah, sure. Hunting, think about it like this. You're hunting those robot dinosaurs with some of your friends. Like, you can't say no to that shit. You know?
I mean, they could do like what they did with with the game Peace Walker, where it's like, in your game you're Aloy, but in somebody else's game you look like somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in other words, you're always Aloy in your game, but in their game you show up as some other person that was always there.
That could work. So yeah, do something like Monster Hunter. I'll be all right with that. Yeah,
I was thinking, like, man, having a four-player co-op in Horizon taking down monsters, that should be crazy. That should be. I'm just thinking about streaming that shit. I'm like, oh, we can stream that shit too.
Yeah, man, for a month. But at the same time, I don't want them to turn Horizon into fucking Monster Hunter either. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I wouldn't mind that. Now that I really start thinking about it, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, we'll see. This is just a rumor or whatever, so can't really go too crazy on it. But what about you guys? Adam, would you like Horizon more if it had co-op? Would you be more interested?
I love all games of co-op. Co-op is awesome. That's one of the best features you could possibly have. Especially people are like, oh, couch co-op. You know what? People have moved away. People have moved on. This is the best way. It's the closest it gets to couch co-op, just to have online co-op. At any point I can have somebody who's like, yeah, I want to play. All right, just jump in. Let's go. That's it. It's fun. And then with share play, that's on the PS4 that a lot of people don't know about, and I don't know why they don't advertise it. The other person doesn't even need the game for most of these games. Just like, oh, jump in, and that's it. Play co-op.
It's dope.
I have a question. So, would the game be called Zero Dawn 2?
Yeah, I'm calling it Zero Dawn 2 just to get the SEO shit in there. But yeah, wouldn't it be like Horizon something else? You know what I mean?
It's definitely.
It would have a name. It wouldn't be a number. I think they would just go through a name route.
Yeah.
Horizon,
it would be
New Beginning.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Horizon Monster Hunter.
Dawn 1.
Dawn 1, yeah.
Horizon World.
Dino Killer.
Horizon, that wouldn't make sense. This thing I'm about to say doesn't make sense. Horizon Dusk. It's like, wait, Horizon Dusk? What? I don't know. All right, anybody else want to? Hey, what's going on, Brian? I knew he was going to make it in here.
He said he said in the little text that he's making food.
Okay, cool.
A little minute.
All right, let's move on here to G Megaforce 123. Okay, what game series do you think has reached its peak and can never be topped? This is a good question.
Can never.
Reach,
So I'm reading the short one. And it says what franchise has reached its peak and cannot outdo itself.
Yeah, same
Those are
basic
two
thing.
different
Yeah.
questions.
No, there's
Oh,
the
Metal
exact same
Gear?
question. They're the exact same
that's
question,
easy.
Carlos.
So let me explain. So the first one you said like, and cannot like. Could you repeat that again?
All right, his question, because remember, with the short ones, I truncate them, but I try to get the feel of the original. What game series do you think has reached its peak and can never be topped? Like, it can never top itself, basically.
Oh, okay, so yeah, because when I heard top, like it could be from other franchises, so it's just constrained to that one franchise.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Halo, easy.
All right, what do you think was the peak of Halo?
Halo 3. Although I prefer Halo 2, Halo 3 is the peak because not only did it implement all the stuff that Halo 2 had with multiplayer, it also added the whole Forge mode, which was revolutionary at the time for a console game. And it was just like the last part of a great story that kind of carried on after that. But that sort of first trilogy is kind of the best story out of all of them. Maybe Reach is but it's kind of a spin-off. So yeah, I don't think they can get any better than Halo 3 because unless they just implement some new stuff that doesn't exist currently, then yeah. If they just keep treading on to the same old Halo, it's just not going to get better than that.
Mine's just Gears of War.
Which one?
Gears 3. It had an ending. It had an ending. Marcus Phoenix was there, man. He took off the bandana and looked at the ocean, and it was over. And that was the end of that trilogy, and it was great. So even when they added this other story 4 and all the stuff, it's going in another direction. It just can't top what happened for 1, 2, and 3.
You think Gears 3 is better than 1 and 2?
Yeah, because it ended. It had all the things that we wanted. It made a lot of the adjustments and fixes to the roadie run, and it gave us, we had Horde in 2, but it fixed it up and added some new elements to it, and people really loved it. It was great. I enjoyed it, and I was pleased with the ending. I was like, this is it. The series is done. If they ever come back, they'll go in a new direction, just like they did with 4 and stuff. And I accept it for what it is, but I don't think they could ever top that again. Especially, think about when Gears 1 came out, that just the roadie run itself was like, whoa, mind blown, just from running. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I have 2 games, and they're also my number 1 and 2 favorite games of all time. I could even throw a third one in there, but I'll leave that alone. Metal Gear Solid 3. After that, Metal Gear Solid 4 was good. Metal Gear Solid 5 was good, but, it kind of went down, right? And obviously, you cannot top that now because of who's running that series, right? And Uncharted 2, man. Like, I don't think any Uncharted game's ever going to get to that level. Uncharted 3 was trying to be like 2, but since it was trying to be like 2, it didn't reach those levels. 4 was good, but yeah, I think 2, that's it. You can't top that for that series specifically, Also, you know what? I'm going to throw it in there. Mass Effect 2. That peaked right there. Can't be topped.
When we talk about Mass Effect, it can definitely be topped. We just don't have faith in BioWare
Yeah,
anymore.
that's what I'm saying.
Because, I think a lot of us that are big fans of the Mass Effect franchise, like once a month, just dream about like the freaking possibilities that you can do in that game, or like.
Yeah, but let's just be honest. Who's running this shit now, they ain't topping it. They ain't topping it.
By the same studio that's kind of falling down I don't see that topping that yet.
Yeah. All right. Manny, jump in here.
Let's see. Games that could never be topped. I would definitely go with Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it's a nice culmination of all the different things, and it was also a nice self-contained story. As much as I love the original Metal Gear.
Hey, man, he's muted himself because his girlfriend's making noise. All right,
sorry about that. I gotta say that it's just a culmination of everything, kind of. All of the stuff that was from this different series plus thing. But I love 1 as much as I love 1. I think it definitely like 3 was the one that just took it to the next level. As far, I guess, you did 3 because you felt like there was 3.
Yeah, you can do however many you want.
Yeah, I'd say pretty good there.
All right, cool. All right, Brett, get in here.
I'll probably go with Final Fantasy.
Which one?
Take your pick. They're getting progressively worse.
Okay, no, what do you think? Actually, I already know your answer. So you think the series peaked at 6, right?
I'm torn between 6 and 7, but the reason I chose that as my answer is just about anybody that you ask will name a different favorite Final Fantasy, but none of them are ever really the current ones.
Yeah, so you think after 7, that like 6 and 7 are the top ones then, right?
Yeah, and I think I personally think it's gone steadily downhill from there. I know some people really liked 9. I know some people really liked 10. But I don't really. Does anybody here in this room think that any of their favorite Final Fantasies are any of the last 3 Final Fantasies?
No.
Yeah,
No.
That's kind of my point.
But then again, I stopped after 10.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think Final Fantasy will ever be able to recapture its heyday. And it had a pretty big, gap of a heyday, depending on what it was. For me, it was 6 and 7. For other people, for some fucking reason, they loved 8. I have no idea why. Others, it's 9 and 10. Generally, after 10, most people agree that what little magic they had is gone.
Bit the shark. Yeah.
9 is like the last of the kind of classic-y like Final Fantasies.
I liked 9.
9 is a really
nine
good one.
was pretty much a love letter to the original Final Fantasy, the original 6
Mhm.
ones, just in 3D form,
Even though I like 10, that was so polarizing in a lot of ways that you got to call that like sort of the threshold of Final Fantasy kind of glory. It's like after that, everything was just a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13
Yeah.
was a mixed bag. I know Tony liked it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, but that's not my favorite, not even close. you know?
Yo, man, you skipped 12?
I like 12,
Yeah, 12.
but 12 was good, but, there was some stuff I know some people wouldn't like. You know what I mean? And just me personally, even though I like the combat in 12 more, I still prefer 10. 10 is still my favorite Final Fantasy game,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody thinks that Square's going to be able to recapture.
Yeah, no,
Do you think
no.
they can make an old school Final Fantasy game that, no?
No,
Not old school, because
Yeah, not
15
old
is a
school.
deviation toward like
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy formula.
And you know me, I
Yeah,
love 15, but yeah, that's not capturing the glory of the old days,
Yeah.
All right, and
I call
That's pretty much
I call 15 the blockbuster version of Final Fantasy. It's all cut and cut all the things that made those sorts of RPGs the way they were have kind of been cut out, and now it's just kind of an action game.
I like 15, but it's Final Fantasy as made by Michael Bay.
the action version. Hey, and Brian's back, so you
Man,
get,
if they made a Call of Duty Final Fantasy, what?
yeah. Brian, get in here, man. What do you think is the best game in a particular franchise that can't be topped within that franchise?
Okay, that's a tough one. My personal favorite, Need for Speed Most Wanted. I feel like since Most Wanted Underground 2 days, they've not really gone through and really done a better game than that. It's all just been either subpar or terrible. So that one. In terms of SOCOM, I don't really know since I missed out on the first one and only really played 2 and 3, so can't argue on that. It's really a tough one. It really is.
Okay, I'm going to co-sign with you on Need for Speed Underground too. No, the franchise pretty much peaked right there.
Yeah. In terms of, I say Battlefield 2. I don't think that they've made a better Battlefield than Battlefield 2 in terms of community reception to said game. Since 3, they weren't really a fan of. 4 didn't work for the first 6 months, and I'm not too sure about Battlefield 1 and how that was received, so I don't really know. Yeah, I think I was good with Most Wanted. That's the default answer.
All right, cool. What's just some weird noise going on in the background? And Nate says Xenogears, but there was only one Xenogears game. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, you can't say Xenosaga.
Yeah, that
That's
doesn't count.
a
That doesn't
spiritual
count.
A spiritual sequel.
Yeah. All right. He also didn't like Brett throwing Final Fantasy enter the bus. I'm going to join Brett in that. Final Fantasy VIII was trash.
Final Fantasy VIII is trash.
All right.
Go back. I mean, here's the thing. For some people, there's nostalgia, and that gets in the way of that game. But that game was kind of a piece
That game annoyed me when it first came out.
Yeah, that is the only game. That is the only game that I've ever, only Final Fantasy game I've ever sold back.
Damn,
and never bothered to finish it.
Damn, and Manny doesn't sell his games. He's just like me in that regard. I don't sell. If I sell a game, it's because that game was fucking trash.
And I sold that game back because I sold that game years ago. So I was like,
I could just see Manny walking into the game store, dropping it on the counter, being like, "Here, you can have this."
You know the other game that I did it to?
What's that?
Xenogears.
Oh, damn.
Xenogears, to its defense, I didn't think the game was bad. I just was like, I am playing this goddamn game for hours, and it doesn't seem like I'm getting anywhere. I think I got to the desert area at one point in the game. I'm like, where are we going? I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah, hey, shout out to Daniel J for the super chat, man.
Thank you, Mr. J.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Since he threw a question in there, I'm going to do that right now. So, Carlos, just put a little thing in there, and I'll throw the question in later. Sony announced that they are going to focus more on first-party titles. If this is true, do you think they're going to buy more studios? If so, which ones? I don't think they're going to buy any studios.
Yeah, do they need to?
They don't need to. They have so many. Sony has so many studios. They don't need to buy shit.
Yeah, they don't need to buy any studios. They got so many studios. Japan Studio, like it's just called Japan Studios, but there's so many studios within Japan Studio that are really good. So I feel like, yeah, they're just gonna start doubling down and pushing out more because they see that all those exclusive games have literally bumped all their shit.
Also, you can hire more staff for your studio without having to open a new studio.
Yeah.
Some studios make, they expand their staff and they make 2 games at once instead of 1. It just depends on how much money the parent company wants to throw at said studio. So if Sony's saying that they're making a commitment to invest more in studios, I imagine they're speaking financially, and then these studios can then use that money to increase their staff or however they want to do it, but they're going to get bigger budgets, and I think that's going to produce games quicker and more quality, or with more quality. So I don't think it's one of those like, hey, let's open new studios. It's hey, let's hire 15 more people for this studio, and jump it from 30 to 45 people, and then we'll make 2 games with those 45 people because there'll be some jobs that can overlap, because that's honestly the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think they're going to buy any studios. They're just going to expand their studios, if anything,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them, putting out ads for talent, hiring talent, but I don't think they're going to open new studios, much less. But they don't need to buy any. They don't need to take any franchises off of the third-party market, because that's only, hurting themselves. They want to also have things that are exclusive. They don't want to necessarily take something and make it exclusive, because that doesn't necessarily make them more money. It just takes money out of Microsoft's pocket. They want to make more money while building their product, so that involves probably new IPs, not buying existing ones. They don't do shit like EA does.
Exactly. All right, I don't think we need to go too much further into that, so let's go back to Mr. G Megaforce with his last question. And again, this is one of those questions where G Megaforce, he's an interesting character to me, because I'm like, I want to know the type of people you hang out with, or like your gaming mentality, because very different from ours, which I like. I like actual real diversity of thought, So his question is Sega underrated as a company? They own Atlas, which means they own some of the best JRPGs out there. They publish and develop Yakuza, which has become popular in the West. They also published the original Bayonetta and Vanquish, which shows they have great taste in action games. Even though they're not behind Shenmue 3, I'm almost certain that Shenmue 1 and 2 HD is on its way. I think overall Sega is killing it with quality games. Do you guys agree, or do you think they already get the recognition they deserve? Again, very interesting question, because when you think Sega, and This is coming from me. This is coming from me, the Sega fanboy. You don't think quality anymore. I was surprised last year when I had like 2 quality Sega games because Sega doesn't really produce good shit anymore. So I'm like, I don't know about underrated because Sega still is. They need to still prove themselves. You know, they're still fucking up the Sonic franchise. There's a ton of IPs that we talk about almost every week that they're sitting on that they're not bringing out. So yeah, we love Yakuza. Persona's fucking awesome, and
Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania was fantastic. Sega's making a little bit of a resurgence, but I still can't. You have to be like. You need to produce more. You need to produce more, though.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you're only saying, "Oh yeah, Persona was good." It's like Persona's always been pretty good,
yeah.
And Atlas has always been pretty much been part of Sega, so they always had that on them.
Well, they haven't always been part of Sega.
As well as the Guilty Gear series, which is also part of Sega as well.
Is it Guilty Gear Sega?
Yeah, Guilty Gear is owned by Sega because Sega bought Sammy.
Which was now that's right.
So Guilty Gear is Sega. They just don't use the Sega thing on there, but that's them too.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, no, Sega is still a shadow of what it used to be back in the day. You know, I wouldn't call them underrated or overrated. They're just like not there yet. You know.
I get what he's saying, especially when he's talking about all the IPs that they're sitting on. He's not necessarily Sega is a juggernaut, more of a sleeping giant. Like they're underrated as a company because they have so many IPs that they're sitting on, because they have so many successful franchises in their pocket that could be brought back to light. They're not necessarily being underrated by your average gamer. They're just underrated by the industry as a whole. If people put more stock into Sega and their vast library and their sometimes ability to make games, as opposed to just trying to rehash Sonic over and over. That's the big problem, is that rehashing Sonic in 3D has been a miserable failure time and time again. They're not really sure how to make it into a 3D game, because the difference between it and Mario was always exploration of Mario versus speed in Sonic. So I think, yes, a lot of Sonic's or Sega's failures have been on the Sonic side, but for the most part, they've been a pretty steady, reliable company, and they do have a lot of franchise or IPs that they're sitting on that would make, a great resurgence. So I do see his point there, in that, yeah, they're underrated. There are, places like there are publishers scouring around for titles to make, for IPs to try and hook, and Sega's just sitting on a mountain of them, and nobody seems to be caring or paying attention. I mean, fuck, you could launch an Altered Beast remake at this point, and people would be like, fuck, really?
Yeah, my thing is like, just because of the fact that they're not releasing all this shit makes me like, okay, let me frame it a different way. Let's say Sega was releasing all these old games and shit constantly, right? Then I could understand why you would say, oh, shit, they're underrated. Look at all this stuff they're giving us. But I'm like, if you're only releasing 1 or 2 really good games a year, you're not there yet for me, man. Let me
rephrase that. Is Sega, as a company, and all the assets that they own, undervalued as a whole?
They're undervalued, but they're undervaluing themselves. It's not the industry undervaluing them. That's them undervaluing their own shit. But undervaluing is different than underrated. The underrated means you're producing shit and people don't recognize that. Sega is not producing that much. That's my thing, I
think that they're underrated as well. They never get a big budget for any of their games. Like they don't really have a lot of power or traction behind their development, and that's a damn shame, because they have a lot of stuff they're sitting on that if they could get funded for, and they could produce some really great games. And so I think that's the problem, and I see it from that as that aspect. Like, yes, they're undervalued in the sense that they could be a great game development studio if somebody would throw a whole bunch of money at them to bring back some of these titles.
Yeah, but what about like Bandai Namco? They don't have all the money in the world. I would consider them underrated. They produce a lot of crazy games every year. Them I could understand. They at least produce the work. Sega is not putting out that many games.
The only reason I make that distinction is because he specifically said their library.
Well, he didn't say library. He didn't say library. He named 3 specific games. He never mentioned the vast library, so I don't think he's taking that into account.
Oh, my bad then.
Yeah. That's where I'm coming at it from. Like, listen, if you're not putting out these games, I can't consider you underrated because you're not doing anything to, You know what I'm saying? Is like you have to actually produce a lot of shit and not get recognized for it in order to be considered underrated. Sega's not doing enough. That's where I'm coming at it from.
They're a solid studio, but they haven't launched.
Publisher. They're not a studio. They're a publisher.
Excuse me. They're a solid publisher, but they haven't really hit anything out of the park.
Yeah. It's only within the last.
Capcom, man.
Yeah. Oh, what happened?
I'd put them up there with Capcom.
Yeah, but again, Capcom's another one. I'm like, back in
Capcom
the day,
is way more highly valued and or rated than Sega.
Yeah, but even Capcom's fell off, man. You know, compared to the old days. You know,
yeah,
they're another one. Like if you were to come over, since Capcom underrated, I'd be like, what kind of crazy question is that? Capcom isn't doing enough. You know. Like, yeah, you got Monster Hunter and shit, but that's good. But we need more of that.
Hey, that's a fluke. That's a very far branch from the Monster Hunter company or from Capcom that runs all by itself. You can't chalk that up to a win for Capcom.
I'll give them one, but that's a small one. Anyway, what about the rest of you guys? Sega underrated? Yes, no. What's up?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say that they're really anything because they haven't put out anything. Put out a continuous string of stuff. I mean, yes, Yakuza hit. Yes, Persona, was just an upward, was an upward thing since, Golden and all that other stuff, that they have. But I feel like they definitely need to put out some more, more, and, in Sonic Mania, I mean, that's just 3 out of how many? Oh, and also, yeah, Alien Isolation was also them too, by the way.
That was a long time ago, though.
That was a long time ago. So, I mean, they have these solid titles. But it's just now it seems like they have to continue on that same trajectory.
Yeah.
In which Sega did say that they were going to start resurrecting a lot of their old franchises.
Yeah, they did. If they start doing that, then I'm going to start giving them more props.
Yeah,
so, I need to ask for clarification purposes. So your qualification for a company still doing well is if they're regularly releasing content or new games or what?
No, my thing is, if you were to say this company is underrated, right? To be underrated, you have to be producing quality titles at a consistent rate and not be recognized for that. Sega doesn't fall under that category. Understand? They released 3 good games last year. So you can't say they're underrated because they haven't produced enough.
That's still more than a lot. I mean, when was the last time Rockstar made a game?
Yeah, see,
but no one's saying Rockstar is underrated.
Yeah, no one's saying that.
No,
exactly,
I know.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is 3 games a year that are 3 decent games a year. Is that really? Is that?
Yeah, but Brett, that's like that. I mean, that just came out of the fucking air, man. Like they'd never done that before, like in recent memory.
They haven't done that in years,
So if they keep that up, then you consider them.
Yeah.
If they keep that up and people do not give them respect for that, then I'm going to say, yeah, Sega's underrated.
I'm not even caring about underrated.
But I am. That's the crux of the question. That's the crux of the question.
I was curious as to what, yes, the whether or not they're being recognized for it. But I was just curious about the first half of that, of whether they're a good company. Because you have to.
Okay, we're focusing on different things. The good or bad company that kind of is irrelevant here. I'm focusing on the underrated part of it.
Well, in your example, you have to be a good company.
Yeah, you have to be. But again, that wasn't the question. The question was, is Sega underrated? So I'm like, no, they're not, because they haven't been producing enough good stuff. That's what I'm coming at it from. I think we're coming at the question from 2 different angles. That's all.
No, I'm literally saying the first half of what you said is that they have to be producing stuff, producing quality stuff, aka a good company, and they have to not be recognized for it.
Yes.
You're putting 2 qualifications on that. I was just asking about the first of those 2 qualifications.
And the first, because we're going off track, but what's okay? I'll answer the first part, because again, I'm stuck on the underrated thing. What's your first question again? What does a company have to be good?
No, we're arguing semantics now.
Oh yeah, we're going ridiculous.
We're sidetracked.
Okay, anyway, go ahead, Carlos.
So I mean, these are the games that I can remember, and I think most of them were mentioned that are good, and a lot of those came out last year. So like Sonic Mania was one of them. Yakuza 0 came out last year, and Persona. Other than that, like someone mentioned Alien Isolation, which is a good one, but that was like a couple of years ago. And I can't really think of anything other than like what Puyo Puyo Tennis or Puyo Puyo Tetris, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. They did come out with that last year too. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they keep doing that, then I'll give this guy credit with his question. You know,
Valkyria Chronicles. Anybody like that game?
Yeah, I love Valkyria Chronicles. That's dropping this year, man. So that's another one. But see, you know about that Sega fucked up with Valkyria Revolution last year. Ooh, terrible fucking game.
But that's my point though. So like even if they keep this up, they still have to continue to not be recognized for it in order to be counted as underrated.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at earlier.
Yeah.
So even if they do well, they still have to not be recognized to fall into said category.
Yes. I think.
And I think there's enough eyes on Sony or on Sega that if they really start keeping this up, people will talk about it.
Yeah, man. And Fatal Mephisto, we will answer your question, I think, now, and I agree with you. Make Streets of Rage 4. Like he says, like Sonic Mania.
Here's the thing: it's like, where are all the original creators of these things?
Who knows, man?
You know, that's the other thing about Sega. All those guys that originally made a lot of these games, they're all gone, or wherever the hell they are.
Yeah,
those games are so old though that I don't know that it matters. Like Kid Chameleon, for instance. Like I'd love to see a new Kid Chameleon game. If you brought the original creator of Kid Chameleon in, would he really be able to add anything? Would he really be versed enough with programming today? I mean,
how do you know? How do you know he's not still making games?
You don't, but you don't know that he is either, and that's the thing. Like it's kind of the deal with the whole Pokemon thing. Like they were scared. Turns out the reason they haven't made a mainline Pokemon game is because they're not sure that they could.
Yeah, saying original directors or original producers of games is kind of overrated to me. Because
overrated.
Yeah, because think about it. Like the guy who did Mighty Number 9, it's like, yeah, he fucked that shit up.
Yeah,
here's the thing. Like that, the one thing about Inafune, and that nobody ever really talks about, that guy wasn't the creator of Mega Man.
Well, yeah, but he's one of the original people.
He's not one of the original people. He showed up on Mega Man 2, and he just did designs on it. He inherited that role.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure
because they wanted to discredit the original guy who actually did create Mega Man.
Okay, but so who's the original guy and what is he doing now?
We don't even know what that guy is doing. That's the crazy thing. He moved on to some other company.
I'm pretty sure he's not doing anything.
Working on Halo.
Like I can guarantee you that the guy's not doing anything of importance right now. That's
I'm sure
we're playing.
He is.
Like and that goes on for like other like people like the guy who did Ninja Gaiden, fucking David Jaffe and what's that other guy, the epic guy, Gears.
Oh, Cliffy B.
Cliffy B. Like a lot of times like these guys like are more famous than their track record makes them to be. Like not everyone's a Kojima. Like not everyone.
I'm saying like the thing is that it's like I feel like sometimes when you have those sorts of situations, it seems like a studio or whoever's doing the thing kind of loses that. I mean, obviously you need somebody who has as much love for these games, so it's almost like having the original creator behind it. Like in the situation of Sonic Mania, we have people that know Sonic games so damn well they can literally make their own remixed Sonic game, and it would be just as good or better than the originals.
But let's be honest with ourselves. The only one of the few reasons is why we like Sonic Mania is because it's just the old game, and we're just tired of the stuff that the newer ones made. Like if the newer ones never existed, and it was 2017, and we're playing Sonic Mania. Like, and we're like in 1995, and we're like, oh, this is what Sonic's going to be in 2017. We're going to be like, what the hell?
I wouldn't complain because it's still a good game. It's I wouldn't complain.
Like,
I mean, the thing is that Nintendo is still making side-scrolling Mario games, so it's like,
yeah. But if you were to tell yourself like, oh, look at how Sonic Mania looks, or look at how the new Sonic for 2017 looks like in 1995, you're going to be like, damn, I expect the games to look a lot better than this.
What are you talking about? The animations in that game you couldn't do in the original hardware. That shit looks way better than the original ones, dude. Even the intro and shit.
But I never said it didn't, though. I'm just saying that the direction Sonic did to like after 2D Sonic were so horrible that going back to the 2D style just made everyone just like be complacent.
I don't know, man. Because for me, I'm
It's
like,
a good
I know,
game.
but the thing is, for me, it wasn't like, oh, these 3D games suck. I want to go back to old one. I've been wanting a 2D one since Sonic Adventure, the first one. I'm like, can we go back, please? I've been asking for this shit for 20 years. You know,
but Sonic, like, because Sonic Mania is just essentially like a Sega Genesis Sonic that looks better.
yeah, and that's all we wanted. That's all we wanted, and we finally got it.
You just want a throwback. You don't want progression.
Sonic
Yeah,
Mania,
exactly.
no,
That's what I'm
Sonic
getting
Mania.
at.
But it is progression. But it is progression though. It's the 32-bit Sonic game we wanted, so we finally got that shit.
Yeah, but that's 32-bit Sonic in an era where 30.
But that's still progression from the 16-bit Sonic. Understand? That's where I'm coming at it from.
It's like when they made Mega Man 8, and Mega Man 8 was definitely a big leap over the original Mega Man games. We had a lot better animation, nicer backgrounds, and all that sort of stuff. So that Sonic Mania is essentially that version that you never got in that 32-bit era.
I mean, you could have gotten it on 32X, which was how long ago?
Well, that's because they decided to do Chaotix instead.
32X was Knuckles Chaotic, yeah.
Yeah. They decided to do that, and Sonic Mania borrows a couple of things from there too, which is interesting.
No, I get what Carlos is saying though, that like if we had standard progression, or if we had a 32-bit Sonic in the 32-bit era, then Sonic Mania might not be as impressive. The failure of the old games led for a wanting of like, just do it like you did it before. It sucked.
But the thing is, the sad thing about it all is that even it's almost like they even forgot what a Sonic game was. And if you look at all the Sonic games that fell apart, that they were trying to make these sorts of 32-bit versions of a Sonic game, they still couldn't get it. They didn't understand. They didn't know what the lightning in the bottle was at that point in time. And to be honest, the guy who created Sonic wasn't even thinking of doing any of those games anymore.
Yeah, well, I look at it this way. In a parallel universe where they didn't make the transfer to 3D Sonic, and in 2017 they released Sonic Mania, I can see there being a Polygon article or something that says, Sonic Mania, are we stuck in the past?
Here's the thing that would also, but I mean, like, if they were going to continue, I would think that if we did get the 3D version of Sonic, the 32-bits version of Sonic, I definitely think there would have been some sort of progression if we would have still stay in that 2-dimensional space. But because these guys didn't know what a Sonic game was anymore, when they made that Sonic 4 game, right? That was a 2D.
Make your own Sonic character? The fuck is that shit?
Well, the thing is that the actual team doesn't know how to make a Sonic game anymore, but the big fans do still know how to make a Sonic game, which is interesting.
Yeah, but they're making a Sonic game from the 90s. They're not making a Sonic game from 2017. That's the thing where I'm trying to get at. Like, they're.
But I mean, the thing is that isn't it? I mean, with the way things are going nowadays, going back to nostalgia has kind of been the par for the course.
But hold on, that's like you saying that Sonic. Actually, no, you have said this that Mario Odyssey is basically just Mario 64 with better graphics.
Yeah,
but it's still rendered in 3D.
No, but that's what Mario 64 is 3D. That's my point.
Mario 64.
So you're saying that Mario Odyssey isn't good because it's a good game. You're saying, it's just because it's a throwback game.
I never said Sonic Mania was a bad game.
No, but but you said it's a throwback game.
Yeah.
Right? And so aren't you? Yeah. Can't you put the same thing on Mario Odyssey?
No, because it's the same levels. That's Sonic. You're playing the same levels. You remember playing those levels before.
Yeah, half of them.
They made some tweaks and stuff. But with the Mario Odyssey, those worlds are different worlds.
Yeah, no, my point is you can't say that Sonic Mania isn't progressing anything and then say Mario Odyssey is progressing things, because they're kind of doing the same thing.
I thought it was just a remake.
But it's not a remake. It's not a remake, though. It has some old levels, but they have new ones.
You could sprinkle all you want, but if you turn on the original Sonic, that one that it was copying, and then you play this one, you're like, oh wow, I get it. That's this level, just with some tweaks in the slider. I get it.
Mario Odyssey is a spiritual successor to Mario 64. Sonic Mania is a remaster with better graphics and more levels.
Yeah, if you gave Sonic the same treatment that you gave Mario Odyssey, you wouldn't come out with Sonic Mania. You'd come out with something different.
Yep. So if
Maybe,
they came out
yeah.
with another Sonic Mania and the maps were completely different, we're like,
Yeah.
that's not any Sonic, then yes, that's a progression. Because they took that style that we love and they just threw more maps on it. They
Yeah.
just made it-
Okay, I see what you're saying. I still disagree that Sonic Mania is like, you know, only good because the other games are bad. I
Oh, no, I'm
completely
not saying
disagree with
only-
that,
No,
you
no,
know?
no, no.
It wouldn't be the main. Let me put it this way: it wouldn't be the mainline franchise. It wouldn't be the Sonic. It would be like Paper Mario, where it's kind of an offshoot game, where it's still fun, it's still a good game, everybody still enjoys it, but it's not the main Sega game, or it's not the main Sonic game. It's considered the main Sonic game right now because all the other ones are so awful.
It's like New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Well, Super
Like,
Mario.
it's still a good game.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that like, oh, we're regressing now. I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's what people wanted. They wanted a 2D Mario game with updated graphics, you know?
Well, it's not. Well, I didn't say it's regressing because I said like the 3D Mario, the 3D Sonic sucked. So,
Yeah.
but like what I'm saying is, if Sonic continued in the same path of just progressing their formula, then the Sonic Mania wouldn't have been what it is. It would have been something more progressive than what it is.
I guess. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but we got to move on.
Or it would have been an offshoot title. How's that?
Yeah. All right, let's move on, man. Even the cat, like, man, you guys are really going deep on this shit. Okay, next one from Fatal Mephisto. He goes, do you guys feel that Microsoft should ignore releasing their IPs on the PC platform? Me personally, it's something they should have done in the past, honestly. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Yeah, they should have had their games on PC. You know, they did. Yep. They did for a while. You know, and then they stopped. You know,
I mean, I always felt like why can't you play those PC games? You know, like there was exclusive Windows games and there was exclusive Microsoft games. How come you couldn't play both of them? You know.
They were just trying to run them separately. They had that Windows game store that was separate, and it was like, remember the PC games had that little Xbox logo on it because it supported Xbox Live, so you could see sign in. I remember I had BioShock on PC. It was on our end. It says BioShock PC, but I couldn't talk to some games I could chat. I remember Shadowrun let me do some, and you could actually cross play. BioShock multiplayer and stuff, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, why not? Why can't you? Why can't you do something like that? Why? It's already in the same ecosystem, anyways. So why? If you bought a Xbox game, for an Xbox sort of game for Windows, or you bought it for Xbox, you should still be able to play with the people, and those games should work for each other. But they decided to work it as two different things, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, they shouldn't obviously ignore it because let's just be honest. What does Xbox stand for, right? It was the Direct Xbox. That's what it originally was, right? It was basically like a console PC. That's what it always was. So separating them kind of doesn't make sense. It makes more sense to have games on all the platforms. And like we've said on the show before, we do believe there will be a point where Xbox itself just becomes like a brand. You won't even have necessarily the actual Xbox. All the games will probably be on PC as a service. So they're gonna merge one day like that.
I just think the way the way the Xbox is heading, that the consoles will still continue to exist, but Xbox will not be just a console. It will be it essentially switch out games for Xbox. And that's what
I think Manny said it better than I did. Yeah, Xbox will. Yeah, you'll probably have a machine that plays Xbox games, but Xbox will be bigger than it is now. It won't just be confined to a single system. It'll be like an ecosystem of its own.
Which I think is kind of awesome. It's like, okay, if you have a PC, well, you can play all those Xbox games. If you just don't want to even bother with the PC side of things, you have an Xbox X something or whatever you want to call the next iteration of Xbox. Why not? Right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Brett.
Do you guys not see that as bad for the Xbox brand, though? Or for Microsoft? Well, no, specifically Xbox, because any game, like, let's take Sea of Thieves comes out. Sea of Thieves comes out. I'm really excited about it. Oh, I can just pick it up on PC. That means that even if this were a system-selling game, that's one less Xbox console that's been sold. Is Microsoft shooting themselves in the foot?
No, they're proving that those two markets don't cross over. That's it. They're just proving that people that go console don't really go PC, and people that go PC don't really give a shit about the console. The fact that they can do this, they're not worried about it. You know,
I
and we're
have
seeing that. We've
both.
talked to people. We have people here right now talking about they prefer playing on console as opposed to PC. You know?
Yes,
safe.
Brett, that's something you've said a bunch of times. You know?
Yeah, I do, but by having access to it on PC, like, I would much prefer to play it on a brand new Xbox. But am I going to go out and buy an Xbox just for that? If I can just have a slightly less good experience.
People are doing it now with that Xbox X. They don't care. They'll do it. They'll keep doing it.
Yeah, Brett,
As
you're
long
the
as
you're the
people
one
keep
that's been
buying
saying
it,
people
they'll
will
keep
keep
doing
buying consoles. They're not just gonna, like, if you're not a PC guy, you're gonna buy the console no matter what. You know, I'm just using your argument here. You know, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I'm the guy that I'm like, listen, what the fuck do I need to play games on Xbox when I can just do it on my PC? I'm that type of guy. But console gamers, they don't like going over to PC like that. You know,
to be honest, like, okay, here's the situation with me. Like, I'm not a big PC gamer. I have some PC games, but I don't really like to play that much on there because, again, this is the workspace. I don't want to be in the workspace playing a video game. So I would much rather go, even despite me having a PC that could probably run quite a bit of these Xbox games that are on PC pretty damn well. I would probably prefer getting the Xbox in general to do, to downloading it on a PC. So,
yeah, there you go. But again, we've kind of covered this before. But no, I don't think them having games on PC is a bad thing. It makes sense because Microsoft is a fucking PC company. You know?
Yeah. Why cut it? I mean, again, this was something they should have done a long time ago. But why cut it off like that? Well, whatever. You know, you get
Because
your
they
Xbox.
they don't own the marketplace. Valve does.
Well, Valve
Valve doesn't own the marketplace, though. What are you talking about? You have a
Valve dominates the PC market.
But you have others, man. You have Origin, you have fucking God, you have all this other shit.
Even with Steam it's running on Windows. You know what I mean? It's still Windows.
Yeah, that is true.
There's not so many people that are on Linux. Yeah, it's there and stuff, but it's not as heavily populated like Windows.
Not to mention Blizzard fucking owns everything.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, but see, the problem is, like, yes, Microsoft is in a prime position to do a Steam box sort of thing, but since everybody runs through Steam right now, they would have to partner with Valve to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, Microsoft can't essentially just make the Steam box. They can't make that.
No, they're not. They're not. I don't think they're trying to be the Steam box.
Shit, if anything, they got just better. They have an Xbox.
That's when you guys were saying that.
No, it's not that they're trying to be the Steam box. It's just It just means that all the Xbox exclusives that all the things in the Xbox, universe of things exists in Windows and in the Xbox verse. That's it.
By the way, they can do a Steam box because it's just what does Steam run on Windows? You just have to have a Windows PC that has Steam installed, and that's pretty much a Steam box.
Yeah, but you would still have to kind of partner with Steam for that, and
if you want to advertise it as such,
or just have an Xbox. Come on, man! We're talking about how Microsoft,
you guys are the one that were just talking about how it was originally a direct Xbox and how they're going to, streamline the entire platform into basically being the same platform on PC or on a smaller version that is just. You guys pretty much described exactly all the bullet points of what a Steam box is.
Yes, but they don't need to make a Steam box because they have an Xbox.
Yeah,
understand?
They've already created their ecosystem.
Yeah, they have it already. Exactly. It's just growing back at the PC. It was on PC originally.
See, here's my thing. Like, they can't. When people are playing on PC, they're playing on Steam, right? They're not playing on Xbox Live.
Some people are. When you play Xbox game, you're playing it on Windows or the Windows Store. You're playing off of that
on the Windows Store. Yeah, or you play Origin or Battle.net,
or you play or GOG or whatever,
Really, but you're saying that Steam doesn't dominate like 80% of the market.
It does,
share?
but it's not only the marketplace. Just because 80%. Let's say you go with yours, 88%. That means there's 12% of people that are not playing on Steam. Understand? Just like the people who are playing Xbox games on PC are not playing on Steam. And
I had said 80%. Okay, so let's say 80% of the people playing Microsoft games are on Steam. So when Microsoft says that there's crossplay between PC and console across their Xbox Live app, through Windows, you're going to have 20% of your total PC population willing to play with the console players. That's really not a high attach rate, and that's really not anything to brag about. That's not unifying your platform at all. That's getting a partial pittance of a crowd because you don't own the market on your own hardware. You don't dominate.
Do you need to dominate and own it though? Because Microsoft has the Windows.
If you wanted to make one unified platform across PC and console, yes, you need to have a good distribution network that owns a good chunk of the marketplace.
You want to know something? You want to know the beautiful things about PC? You don't have to choose one or the other. You can have all those things. You have Steam, you can have Windows, you can have Uplay, you can have Origin.
So when I'm playing on Steam, how do I connect to somebody who's playing through Xbox?
Well, that has to do with the servers.
Yeah, and they're like, how do I chat on Xbox Live through Steam?
Yeah, but that's just assuming that you want to chat with them.
Yeah, and then I have to go through.
If you're on PC, you go to Discord. There you go. There's your solution.
Yeah, if you're on PC and you're playing it on Steam, you can always just turn on that Microsoft application and chat there.
Do that too. That's right. There's a lot of ways. Remember, PC is very versatile, man.
You can now use your phone to chat. You can join a Xbox Live chat via your phone now too.
Oh wow, yeah, we all gave Nintendo a pass for that one, didn't we?
No, I just named 10 different types. Well,
there is.
Yeah, but if you're already on your PC, you're willing to go through all those extra hoops. Not when you're on your Nintendo. Totally different things.
Let me also add that every single person, one of us, has a Xbox app within Windows. You can log on to Xbox Live right now from your PC.
That's it.
Windows 10 comes with the
Windows
Xbox
10
app.
comes with it. Yeah.
Yep.
James William, yes, you can ask a random question as long as it's about video games. I saw somebody asking us about Shrek. Like, Shrek, that's not this type of show, bro. Anyway, let's move on here. Because I guess I should say this now. I do want to try to, at least until, for the immediate future, try to keep these shows under 2 hours because last night's stream hasn't finished processing yet, so I don't want that to happen to our main show here. That would be very, very bad. All right. So Mr. Gary Swaby asking us a question, very controversial one. He goes, if Donald Trump made it so violence and swear words were illegal in video games, would you still be a gamer? All right, we're gonna answer, but preface that Trump doesn't have the power to do that. So take that off the table. But let's just say, I'm going to frame it in a better way. Let's say developers decided, hey, we're going to make games more homogenized, more, kid friendly or whatever. We're going to take all that shit out of games. Would you still play games? German versions. Yeah, basically our Australian versions or whatever, right? Would you still play games? If they're all like just kiddie, not fair and stuff.
Here's the thing. The Australians still play games. Despite all the censorship that happens to them.
Yep.
People in Germany is also considered a country that has a lot of censorship that happens on their games.
Yep.
People will still play games.
Yeah, so your answer is yes. So you personally, man, you still would.
I would probably still play games, yeah. Because the thing is that we existed in a world before there was a bunch of crazy violence in video games, and they were still fun, weren't they? Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Pete, you know what it is? This is gonna be a crazy thing, but think about when the comics code was around, right? It's like, yeah, it prohibited them, but it also made them be more creative with their books too, So you would probably see that in video games. So, okay, we can't be this violent, so let's do something else to keep things interesting.
Let's try something else. Let's try to do do something different, or try to approach this from a different direction. I mean, granted, it sucks that you have to kind of create these ways around this sort of stuff, and you do it all the time whenever you have those sorts of constraints. But I also think that sometimes having constraints can also make you a lot more creative.
Yes.
In trying to communicate what you want to communicate. The thing is, it's like, okay, yes, let's say we do have a bunch of games that just don't have any. You're shooting in a game and nobody bleeds. I mean, what was it? What's that? That's like a Western.
It was green. It wasn't blood. They still have it. They just changed the color from red to green.
Well, think about it like this. We've been playing Monster Hunter, right? There's no blood in that game. You're hacking and slashing these monsters.
Yeah.
There's not a drop of blood, So,
yeah, you can totally. And then, the thing is, and then you talk about imitatable actions. Okay, so what imitatable actions do you have? Are you going to go out right now and hunt some mysterious monster that doesn't exist? So I don't think, as sucky as it, as much as it, that sort of censorship will, kind of push down a lot of different things that people want to say in video games. I do think that within that, people can be very creative. And I do hope, I obviously I would not want something like that to happen, which I don't think it will ever happen, because the game industry makes just way too much money.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't think so.
They're just going to be like, this is like it usually is a little slap on the wrist.
Slap on the wrist.
Hey, oh, you.
Yeah, not to get too off track, because remember how like Trump is supposedly going to meet with video game officials or whatever. The ESRB, not ESRB, ESA, right, who runs pretty much all the gaming. They're like, nobody from the administration contacted us or any of our companies. So who the fuck's he gonna talk to?
Yeah, who is he? Yeah, who is he gonna talk to? Because they are the ratings board.
Yeah, apparently none of that. It's just Trump talking shit. That's not even gonna happen. So anyway, yeah. So I guess the answer is we would all continue to play games, but even though we don't see that,
games.
Yeah, we don't see that kind of future happening anyway.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, none of us would stop playing games.
I would.
Oh, you would?
Stop playing games?
I doubt it.
No.
Come on now.
Really? I mean, if it went full kill, like you guys are thinking too small. Like, yeah, so you're shooting somebody and there's no blood. Like,
I don't see blood in Call of Duty.
Yeah, you guys really think that people who are worried about gun violence care about the blood in the video game? No, they care about the fact that you're shooting a gun. That's what they want to take away. So if they did get their way in this hypothetical situation, it wouldn't be that you shoot and don't get bullets or don't get blood. It would be that you don't shoot. It would be that you have more games like Gone Home. It would be focusing on narrative instead of
games. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, if we're since we're really just going full tilt hypothetical, if you had nothing but like walking simulators, then yeah, I'd be fucking done.
If you remove
we would never have just that.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, it definitely would set video gaming back, but I don't think that it'd be that bad.
Manny, I think you have a misconception of the 80s weren't necessarily.
The 80s weren't necessarily all fun and games. There was still violence in those sorts of games. But
dude,
somebody mentioned Australia, and Australia is not as much a censorship that happens in Australia. That is not nearly that. Where it's there is so like we're talking about. Okay, if we're going full tilt, yes. I would definitely be like, okay, what the hell is this? But the thing is that it won't happen like that ever, because it's like, again, if we're gonna go ultra censorship, we see what ultra censorship looks like in our current world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think
that's the thing that people are pushing for. Like that's what I'll say. That's what the Anita Sarkeesians of the world are looking for. Games with non-violent plot lines, and that's the kind of thing that people are going to be calling for. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm responding to. Not that it would ever fucking happen. The worst that would happen was we would get, say, like you said, Australian kind of thing, say, censorship, which wouldn't stop us. But if the people advocating this bullshit got their way, which is the way that I hear the question, would you stop? Like, yeah, because these people want to remove like conflict from video games. And there's already, in my opinion, there's already too much censorship in movies and video games as it is. Like, yeah, you're allowed to get away with blanket uber violence as long as it follows a very specific line. Like people would freak out over the Swamp of Sorrows today. Like H.R. Geiger's Alien, if it were a new thing, would not fly today. The idea that like you have a movie monster that forcibly impregnates its victims, holy shit, that wouldn't be allowed today. And that kind of thing actually makes me mad, because just because you have a bad character in a story or somebody that does something terrible, that doesn't mean the creator is terrible. That doesn't mean that the story is invalid. That just means that that's supposed to be a bad character. But I already feel that in our narratives today that we shy too much away from portraying monstrous characters. Yeah, maybe you have a villain who rapes people. That's bad. That's villainous behavior. But the fact that there are so many topics that people aren't willing to touch with a 10-foot pole, I don't think has forced them to be more creative. I think in theory it would, but I think it's homogenized a lot of stories to be retellings of other stories, especially if you look at movies and whatnot. Like, it's tough to tell a really out there, you know, story that involves very controversial themes. You can't just say, you know, Game of Thrones, that's the reason it was so subversive and so successful, is because it did a lot of those things that a lot of people didn't want to fucking talk about. So I don't necessarily think that censorship is a good thing in any form or fashion. I think we're already being choked a little bit by censorship, and I don't think it's a good thing. So yeah, if a little bit of censorship happened, I'd grumble about it. If a lot happened, I'd fucking quit because it would kill the medium.
Yeah, I think Barry says it best with what he just wrote right here. Bully 2, hug it out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Brian, you've been quiet, man. Jump in here. What do you say?
First of all, hey Gary, what's up? I don't know. I've been hearing what you guys are saying, and you guys all make really good points. On Bread Snows, like if there were games where there was no conflict in them, and this is gonna sound a bit odd, Brett, but you see why. I actually wouldn't mind that much because there already are good games that don't have any conflict in them. For example, stuff like Rhyme and Journey, like these games. And yes, Journey is a PlayStation exclusive. Brian's praising it. I know. Wow. These are already games that are really good, and there's no violence in them. So if it's games like that, I have no problem with. If it's games like Gone Home, I have a problem with because those are boring. I'm sorry to say, but Gone Home was really dull.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no. So yeah, so if it's games like Rhyme and Journey, fine. If it's games like Gone Home, no, we can't do that. And if that was the thing and these things were banned, yeah, I still would be playing games because there's bound to be people out there that will make these games and release them somewhere. Because it seems like no matter what happens, there's always like these like fringe weird games that come out, even though that they're not acceptable.
Also, like if you look at a place like Russia, right? They still had games and they were heavily censored. But then you get amazing games like Tetris with its simplicity.
Yeah,
so
no
maybe
violence.
no violence in Tetris. But the thing is, I think that might be the sort of environment we might see where it's not exactly figurative sorts of games, where it's totally narrative. It'd be gameplay sorts of games.
Yeah, could be interesting. But again, all hypothetical. Let's move on to the next question. We still got a few more here. Okay, Black Metal Gamer. This is an interesting one, but I already got my answer locked in. He goes, which years in gaming were worse? The 1983 gaming crash in America or the 1993 to 1995 era of failed consoles like the Jaguar 64, 3DO, Neo Geo, Philips CDI, and the Sega Saturn add-ons? What was more damaging for gaming in your opinions? All right, I'm going to go first because I've been chomping at the bit for this one. Dude, there's only one answer. The gaming crash was more detrimental to gaming because think about this. The reason you had all those consoles coming out at the same time in the 90s is because the industry was healthy enough to produce that many consoles, you know? And we got a lot of good innovations out of mainly CD-based gaming and stuff. It didn't actually hurt the industry at all. It actually made the industry stronger, even though all those consoles did fail, some more than others, but it wasn't a crash. Crash was like everything just got wiped the fuck out, you know? But
it was so bad with the crash that Nintendo couldn't even call their console a game console.
Yeah, exactly. But again,
they redesigned it to look like a fucking VCR because they didn't want to be associated with it.
Yeah, meanwhile in the 90s, again, the reason you had so many consoles is because the gaming was healthy back then. It was maybe arguably more healthy than it was now. You know, that's why you had so many systems. Yes, they failed, but the market still kept getting stronger, you know, and it didn't actually affect anything negatively, you know, but the gaming crash definitely did.
And the thing is that also within the gaming crash, there were a lot of other companies that were making game consoles as well that people don't talk about. You know, there's Coleco and all those other companies. And you know, there was at least 3 in London. I mean, it's not London, in England. So I mean, I definitely think that, you know, I definitely think that the gaming crash was a big thing because it screwed it up for everybody, even not only just Atari. Atari was just the biggest of them.
Well, yeah, it was like a meteor hitting the earth, basically. Everybody got affected, but the 90s was a good time for gaming, very healthy time in gaming.
Also, the gaming crash was really bad for consumers. I mean, I wasn't quite old enough to be playing. Like I entered the Gamosphere in '86, and I still was feeling the afterburn of the game crash, in the sense that the market was just so flooded with terrible games. There was no quality. So I mean, like a third of the games that you would get, it seems, were fucking broken. And I'm not talking like, you know, oh, glitchy or something like that. They were just fucking broken. Like you could get beyond the second level. They weren't programmed correctly. There was noise on the screen. It was just a level of shovelware unprecedented today.
I don't never. Here's the thing. In that portion of time, I don't remember ever feeling any sort of anything. I feel like I just made the transition from Atari to Nintendo. There was a just. I mean, I don't remember there being like, oh my god, I'm looking for games. I mean, especially since games were so damn expensive, you still could buy them at the store, so it didn't seem like there was that much of a stretch.
I was also a bargain shopper, so I dug through a lot of the bargain bins that contained a lot of those games, looking for the gems. Because, you know, toy stores didn't really they didn't know. Like it's not like today where, you know, they're like, oh well, you know, this game is selling really well, so we're going to keep it at its price. They just kind of took all the old games and threw them in a bin.
Yeah, because
you know,
they wanted to clear them out.
Anything left on the shelf, they throw in a bin, and then they put the new stuff in. And so there was some really good things in there. That's, you know, how I found General Chaos and Mutant League Football on like the Genesis, but there were also a bunch of,
but you're not talking about Atari time when the actual game crash actually happened.
No, I'm talking about how there was still a complete shit ton of really horrible broken games after it was fixed and regulated. So when you're talking about during the crash happened because of so many bad broken games that's why Nintendo ended up putting their seal of approval on games, because you couldn't trust a game to actually work when you pulled it out of the package. So having lived through the little remnants that was left of that, and most of it being fixed, I can only tell you, or I can only imagine how bad for the consumer it must have been to go out and try and find a game during that crash.
What do you remember, Adam?
I just remember moving on to the next console and not really giving a shit. So
yeah, that's at least what I remember.
I had every console at the time, so it's like, oh, if something new came, remember the 3DS, or if it was the Sega CD and 32X,
like in the 80s, like I remember you had the Atari,
yeah,
and then you eventually got the Nintendo, and I inherited your old Atari, and then eventually I got a Nintendo.
You got the Super Nintendo. I wound up going through the Sega route. I got the Genesis, and we just kept going from there.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't want to diminish the gaming crash, because it was pretty big, but at the same time, by the way, I can't speak for myself. I was not even in the country when I was. But I think for the average person, I'm talking about Manny and Adam here, they didn't actually really feel it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean it's not like all of a sudden. I mean, like there was any sort of internet or anything new about it. They just said like, all right, that's it. You know, like we just next thing.
It wasn't just Atari that was it. It was Nintendo too. That's why they had the whole...
Nintendo came out afterwards.
Nintendo came after it. And the thing is that I would say, when was the last Atari made, or when did they start losing faith in Atari?
Because 1983. That's when
1983. Yeah. So 84 and 85 is around.
So you had 2 years where there was nothing.
2 years where there was nothing, but there was still stuff.
Yeah, there were still games, and people didn't just burn their Ataris.
Atari did make another Atari in between that time, which was that big wooden one. They made one after the 2600, so there was still stuff there.
So if it did affect the Nintendo, why was there the Nintendo seal?
It did affect the
it affected how Nintendo did business. But remember, even till this day, Nintendo is credited for saving the industry after the crash.
Yeah, because essentially not evaluated, but changed it around. It wasn't a game console; it was an entertainment system.
Yeah,
did you guys ever buy any?
They were building that difference.
Did you guys ever buy any games without the Nintendo seal on them?
There are a lot of games that had Nintendo.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, like, that was a reaction to the crash, but Nintendo didn't even have a system when the crash happened. Understand?
Yeah.
When they created their system, they're like, "Hey, we're not going to do what Atari did. We're going to do things differently." You know?
Yeah, and they created the seal, but there were still people making unlicensed Nintendo games.
Yeah, and Nintendo tried to sue them.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
And those were complete shit 90% of the time.
Yeah, no
why
one's
are we
arguing that.
But no one's arguing about that. But that has nothing to do with Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo, was not part of the crash. They saved the industry after the crash. Because everybody thought, like, okay, that's it. Games are dead. That's it. It's over,
Yeah.
And then Nintendo came in, but again, Nintendo was like, we can't call this shit a game console because gaming is still a bad thing. Let's call it an entertainment system.
Yeah, and that's why they turned it into like a VCR over here in the States.
And we also need to say the gaming crash was largely an American thing, right? In Asia and in Europe, things kept going. They had the Sega Master System, and they had TurboGrafx, or whatever it was called out in there, the PC Engine as they called it there. So I mean, they had multiple. They had 16-bit consoles over there by the time we got the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so anyway, the crash is definitely the answer here. Nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely the crash that affected the industry. But the '90s stuff, I think, is just a lot of missteps.
Yeah.
Where you have like Atari, where they came back then, and they were just trying to they developed that Jaguar in the wrong way. But again, essentially just undercooking all those games.
Yeah, but again, why did Jaguar come out? Why did Atari decide to come back? They're like, oh, gaming is really big again. Let's try our hand. That basically, again, all these consoles came out because the industry was doing very, very well.
Yeah. Remember the Link? Remember they came out with a portable?
Yeah, I remember that shit. The Link, man, I remember that.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. Why do you gamers look down on or hate remasters and ports, yet when albums get remastered or old movies get updated on Blu-rays, there are no complaints? Is it just purist elitism or people being unhappy no matter what? It's neither of those. You can't compare them. It's apples and oranges. And I got to say this. Yeah. Even though, gamers complain about remasters, why do you think we get remasters all the time? Because people buy them. People are not complaining about remasters. People are not complaining about remasters, bro. Like, some of the gamers are, but in general, not. People buy them shits, man.
They still buy them.
But I do say there probably is more of a demand for, like, maybe remastered movies and stuff. People always buy those. The new Criterion edition, Man,
people complain more about ports than they do remasters, and I think you need to make that distinction.
Yeah, that is true.
They still buy those too. Look at all the ones on Switch.
That's true. They're buying all of them up. That's right. That's right. Yeah, no one's really complaining about it. Maybe some of the gamers are, but in general, those things sell, so no one's really complaining.
Yeah, and they definitely do sell. I mean, to be honest, a lot of these video game companies are just using that as buffer because they haven't released a game in 3 or 4 years.
Well, they're just trying to make up for lost wages, like what happened with we getting Burnout Paradise.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we could move on to Life and Times podcast, Mr. Wiz. All right, Wiz, couple of things. You asked us 3 questions this week, but thankfully 2 of them we already answered before. So we only got 1 for you, man. He asked us about, why is the Switch successful? We've answered that before. And he also asked us what are our top 3 things we want in next-gen systems. We've also answered that before. So we'll move on to his question here. This is an interesting one. What did you guys think about Metal Gear Portable Ops? I think it's a part of the main canon. It was a good story, a little convoluted since it took place after 3. Not many like to mention it. Even the HD collection doesn't include it. For me, I skipped it because it wasn't directly made by Hideo Kojima.
It is not a Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah, so therefore it is stricken from the record.
It's and Kojima has said it himself. Metal Gear Portable Ops, some of the things may have happened, just not exactly in that way. So he's saying it's semi-canon. Portable Ops, to be honest, Portable Ops was kind of lousy. Sorry. I mean, the story is interesting, but just the way they implemented that gameplay, it just did not work. And, they kind of tried to fix it in Peace Walker, but I think Peace Walker is a lot better game. It's put together a lot better, for that sort of environment. I mean, that stupid stamina thing where you're, essentially you have a stamina gauge under Snake, and essentially he can't even run for 2 minutes without being winded or trying to, dragging every single one of your soldiers over to the van, when you're trying to recruit them. Yes, it makes sense that he has to physically bring every single soldier to the van, but come on, there's something wrong with a game where the best guy in the game is not Snake. It's some random dude that you just found somewhere.
Yeah. By the way, quick shout out to Thato02, who is subscribing to us or following us on Twitch. Very cool.
Ah, thank you.
Chun-Li gave her the little shout out. So yeah, man, Portal Ops. I know you like it, Wiz, but that was not a good game. Let's just be honest here.
You want to talk about good non-Hideo Kojima games? Look at Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Advanced and the Game Boy. That is a really good game.
Joel, man, I love you, brother, but no. He goes, Portal Ops is better than Metal Gear Solid 5. Nah.
No way, man.
No way. No way.
I mean, you know, like there's some pretty good story elements in there, but there's also just a lot of like, I think the story-wise, it fits with the Metal Gear franchise. I just feel like the actual, just the gameplay is just not very well implemented. It just needed, it's overly complicated than what it is. And I think that's what Peace Walker kind of answered, where it's like, okay, he took some of the things that in there, and then they just kind of did a lot of quality of life things. And I think that's what really needed to happen with a game like Portable Ops. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. I don't want to talk about Portal Ops anymore. Let's move on here. My man, All Day Digital.
Wait. At least he didn't say Metal Gear Acid.
No, Barry said Metal Gear Acid 3 reshuffled. Ooh. All right.
That's what it Five Finger say to the face.
Slap. All right, so let's move on to All Day Digital here, man. He goes, are there any games you guys purchased in the past purely based off the box art?
You mean every single Nintendo game?
Pretty much, they all look dope. You wanted to buy them all, man.
Still doing that with Switch.
You know, he also asked us what are our favorite box arts of this generation. That's a little bit of a tough one because most box art is shit.
Box art
talked about that too. We talked about
we talked. So we don't need to answer because we've answered that before.
I can answer that one. It's the one with like the male protagonist kind of in the foreground, like kind of obscured and shadowy, and then you have like like a background that's kind of blended into a montage of like action scenes from the game in the background.
I got one. My favorite one is a extreme close up of a character's face. That's my favorite one.
An extreme close up of a bearded character,
or a soldier running into combat.
Or
the back of the soldier.
Yeah, and they're holding a gun.
And they're holding a gun.
Yeah, box art is fucking shit nowadays, man. It's horrible.
I mean,
Persona 5 had good box art. Even though it is from last gen, it's still current. GTA 5 had good box art. But you notice the pattern here, right? They're drawn. They're not just like a still from the game or something, Yeah, box art is shit now, man. But back in the day, because it was art on that shit, you wanted to buy it.
I would say the Gravity Rush 2 one is a pretty nice one. It's got kind of fun and actiony looking. Definitely with the Persona one, I would say that one's a really nice one. I would say the interior cover that Nier Automata has, where it's the actual painted drawn cover as opposed to the weird stupid CG version of it. But everything else.
Yeah, we can't answer this, and we pretty much said all. Most modern box art is shit.
Yeah, it's sad. And then you look at, but then it's sad because like when you look at sometimes what the other countries get, and you're like, why didn't we get that thing? Why did we get guy on a cover with his gun facing backward with a gun?
Well, because according to the experts, that's what Americans like.
Yeah,
they thought G.I. Joe was a big hit for us, So,
hey, Hip Hop Gamer, give that an 8 out of 10, right?
Tour de Force.
But for games that I can't name any examples specifically, but yeah, there was a couple of games. I mean, I couldn't just buy any game willy nilly back in the day, but I definitely rented games based off their box art.
Oh yeah, I mean, because
the box arts went 3 in, then you had to look at the back.
Yeah.
If they decided to show you what the game was in the back.
That's right.
Some of them like to wow you with a nice looking cover. You look at the back and it's like
just words.
It's just words.
Yeah.
Yo, but that cover,
you never trusted those games.
Come on, like you look at the cover to Xenophobe, right?
I feel like Super Nintendo had a bunch of games like that.
You like a game like Xenophobe, which looked like it had the freaking alien on the cover, and then you turn it around, it's like, what is this alien? It's these weird, big-headed guys that jump awkward.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody bought a game based off the box art? Brian, Carlos.
Shoot, I'm sure
No.
a bunch of people are buying FIFA.
Yeah, I'm
because
guessing
they got
since
Ronaldo
you're the
on it.
younger guys, you guys are just used to shit covers all around. You know.
We're used to looking up videos on YouTube to see how the gameplay
Oh
is.
shit, that's
For
true.
sure.
We didn't have that back in the day.
Didn't have that back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also grew up in the '90s, so like I could have done that, but I really didn't have enough money to choose a game. To be honest, like I only got like one game per year, and I pretty much knew which one I was getting.
Yeah, Daniel says Atari had some of the best box covers ever. Of course they did because their games
they
looked
did.
atrocious. So they
Well,
had to, they had to make the games look dope. The box art look dope because they were literally just little little pixels and stuff.
I think it was also part of the imagination thing. It's like, okay, this is what you should see in your mind as you play.
Yeah, you definitely had to put a lot of your imagination into those games back in the day. Fill in the gaps. All right, man. We shall move on to. Okay, related question. What are your favorite stylized games? Graphics.
I would go with Gravity Rush and Guilty Gear and what's the last one? Persona. Very pretty looking games.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to co-sign that. That's pretty good.
Cuphead.
Cuphead. That's another one.
Cuphead is
That's
also
another
a
one.
really great one. I like that we're actually people are challenging what games should look like again, where they're like, okay, we're at the point, okay, we can make things look incredibly hyper realistic, but can we make this look like a piece of artwork?
By the way, I'm going to say something that may be heresy because I know a lot of people did not like the graphics of this game when it originally came out. I thought it was great looking. The Zelda game where he's on the water when he's a kid, that looked fucking awesome.
Oh
Wind
yeah,
Waker?
the Wind Waker, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people at the time did not like the way
people hate it. They're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" It's aged better. People are like, "Oh, actually, the game was actually good." Yeah,
Because it's stylized, and
Yeah.
it's not like people wanted Ocarina like looking game.
yeah. That's the funny thing because Ocarina did not age well, but Wind Waker sure as shit did. As a matter of fact, I like the original Wind Waker graphics over the remake graphic. I'm being honest right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also put down Okami as well. Okami's also
another one. Yeah.
another one. That,
Borderlands 2, Borderlands itself.
Oh,
Borderlands are
Borderlands,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, Borderlands are good. I like a game where you see a still from it, you're like, I know what the game that is. Because a lot of games when you take a still from it, you're like, I don't know what the fuck this is. It could be anything.
The
You guys
game
play,
isn't.
Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe is another one.
Beautiful Joe.
There you go.
I like the style of this game, but the game isn't that good. Mad World.
Oh yeah.
Mad World, yeah.
Yeah. We're just
I-
talking purely style here, so yeah.
I enjoyed Mad World. It had its charm to it.
Dude, I loved it. That's one of the main reasons I loved Jet Grind Radio.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
there
there's
you
another
go.
one, Jet Grind
There you
Radio.
go.
I mean, but again, those are games that are, challenging that sort of, they're not exactly trying to be realistic. They're trying to be something a little bit different. And I feel like when games start to choose an actual style and not to try to be ultra realistic,
Uber real. Yeah, No More Heroes. That's another one.
No More Heroes, exactly.
Danny, you think Splinter Cell is a stylized game?
That's not stylized at all. That's trying to be
not at all.
realistic. Yeah.
Oh, I think he's talking about maybe the newer ones. Remember when they started doing the
They're not
flashing all over the place?
Yeah, I think he might be thinking about like when it's like, oh, like this chapter and it's on the wall or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
no, we're not talking about it. We're
No,
talking about the
but
actual
I would-
graphics,
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that stylized.
Yeah, that's not stylized because they're trying to be realistic with the graphics in that game, And like I always said, if you try to make every game look realistic, every game's going to look exactly the same. That's why I like Shadow Complex. That's another one. They had good stylized stuff. I feel like there's a ton of
certain
games.
games that do style really well, even though they look realistic. Like BioShock is a good example of that.
Oh yeah, it is that game is totally, all those games are totally stylized.
Yep.
They're not trying to be real.
I mean, they're kind of realistic graphics, but you look at it and you're like, oh, that's Rapture.
No, but I mean, also like people are just not designed. They're not designed like realistic people. It almost feels like a somewhat stylized version of reality.
Hey,
It's-
Rhyme is another one. Sorry,
Rhyme
Ray
is
just said
also
it.
another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
Fallout falls into that category then.
Fallout
It's-
doesn't.
yeah,
No, that's not
I think so.
stylized.
I think so. I mean, it's to me, stylized is a game where its world is like none other. Like no one can just make a world like Ori and the Blind Forest. Like it's just
Yeah, but Ori and the Blind Forest is a stylized game, whereas Fallout is not stylized.
Well, Fallout is
know?
very specifically 1950s nuclear family retro futurism. Like it's
That's a different type of style. I'm talking about the actual graphics themselves. They're pretty realistic. They're not like deformed humans or anything.
If you go by that definition, then it has to be a game that looks unrealistic.
yeah. But
that's
Tony, what about
is, basically?
What about the suits of the enclaves and the people who are on the what do you call them? The people in the shelters or
Yeah, but they're trying to emulate real life. Understand? They're not really stylized like that. Like that is a style. I'll give you that, but it's not stylized. There's a difference there. And you could only really get stylized from something that doesn't look realistic. You know what I mean?
just someone mentioned Shadow of the Colossus. Is that really stylized?
No, that's not stylized.
Actually, the original one is.
Kind of. I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know.
The original one is. The new one kind of isn't, and that's why people are pissed off about it.
I'm a little iffy on even the original one being stylized. Like it has a certain atmosphere to it, but it's not really stylized.
Yeah.
I got one. Fable.
Yes, Fable is actually stylized. In fact, Fable is stylized. Yeah. The characters are very distinct looking. They kind of have like a cartoon look to them. Yes, I will. Yeah, that does qualify for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like it has detailed graphics and all that, right? But they're very stylized looking characters. Overwatch is another one. That's a stylized game,
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
And Wiz, Blaze Blue and DB Fighter Z is definitely stylized.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, pretty much. If your game's cel shaded, you're automatically stylized. Let's just be real here.
Have we pretty much decided that non-realistic games just are generally they look better and they age better?
Yes,
and
we think about it like this, Brett. Take like most games from the PS1 era, right? They look like dog shit. You go back to the 16-bit era; those have aged very well.
I know, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like polygons. Oh god, that first generation of polygons.
Ooh.
Gives me nightmares, man.
It's like think about it like this. Heavy Rain tries to sort of replicate human features, like exact human features. 20 years from now, that's just going to get outdated because something's going to look way better than that.
Yeah.
Well, whatever was creepy at that time to me. Like it fell in the uncanny valley.
Yeah,
like your arms and jacket are not moving as seamlessly as your face is, and it's creeping me right the fuck out.
Right. But something like Okami is never going to get outdated because it's one of it's in its own category. Like there's nothing like Okami that exists.
Exactly. See, the Prince of Persia game that was cel shaded that definitely counts. Telltale games they do because they're very cel shaded. Yeah, you guys get it. Those type of games.
All the games that could run on the Switch.
Yeah. Right. All right, man. Let's move on here. My man Joel Torres. So both of these questions are about E3. I wonder what's on your mind, brother.
Mr. Torres.
So he goes, "Do you guys think are these motherfuckers shooting fireworks?" Yo, my neighborhood's crazy, man. All right.
I don't know is that the question? Because I can't answer that.
No. I got sidetracked because I'm hearing fireworks outside my window. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway,
how do you know it's not gunshot?
Could be. Who knows? Nowadays. Okay, anyway, the question is, do you think Crackdown 3 will release before E3? Man.
It rhymes.
Oh, no. Can you write 3 and 3, man? That's a cheap-ass rhyme.
That's a good question.
I don't know if I want to answer this.
When Fallout announced 3 months before release and everybody shit their pants, they're like, holy shit, they put a date and the date is 3 months from now. Like, are we living in a different world now where we all of a sudden think that games are going to be announced 2 months before they hit street? Like, when the fuck did all this change?
Yeah, that's a good question. When did that change? Like, suddenly people are like, okay, you show me the game, it's coming out now, isn't it? It's like, well, slow your roll, man. Shit.
Dude, like Fallout was the exception to the rule. People shit their pants about how quickly it came out, and that was like 3 months. Like, you're not going to get a game announced and then released shorter than 1 quarter. That is like the shortest that I've ever seen in modern gaming, a game go from announced to on the shelves. Most of the time, it's going to be 6 to 9 months so they can build adequate hype in a media campaign. Like, so no, like you're asking, is this thing going to release in the next 3 to 4 months? I'm going to go no, because that almost never happens, and that is not the normal thing.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Crackdown 3 was announced a long time ago.
It was very long. It was.
No, I'm
announced.
not saying announced. I'm saying street date.
Yeah,
it was announced at me and Tony's first E3, 2012, right?
No, 2013. I'm
going to make 2013.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. I'm going to agree with Brett. The game is not coming out before E3. I'm going to predict that they're going to announce the release date during E3, which is ironic because I could have sworn they announced the release date during last year's E3 too. I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to make the prediction right now. They're going to announce the release date of Crackdown 3 during E3, and it'll probably release during the summer. That's my bold prediction.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with them releasing it like after E3. I think it'll be after E3. Now give me a street date of September.
September I can see too. That's still summer technically, you know. September 20th is still technically summer, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with summer as well, late summer, you know.
August, September.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement for that one, you know. So we'll move on to the next E3 question. This is a funny one. What are your guys' thoughts on booth babes at E3? We don't have them anymore.
We never saw them. We never went at the time.
Yeah, when we started, there was no booth babes. And especially nowadays climate, you can't... But here's my thing. I've always wondered this about booth babes, right? Who are they really for? Because if you're there working... Like, my first E3, when I went, there were no really booth babes, but there was one booth... they had booth babes, right? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, you look hot, but I gotta work. I can't be over here kicking it to you right now. So I'm like, who are they really there for?
It was just for people to draw attention.
Yeah, no, but that feeling like, but you're drawing attention to. Okay, here's my question: are booth babes for the journalists actually at E3, or for guys like us looking at E3 in magazines?
Anybody who likes pretty girls.
Yeah, that's it. Think of a booth babe like a big flashing red light.
That's it.
They serve the same purpose.
Guys,
yeah, but I mean,
girls,
like, if you're, but remember, E3 is a trade show. I understand booth babes at Comic-Con. That's for everybody. You want to allure people in, right? But if you're a journalist at E3, why would you need to be lured in? You know what I mean?
It's not. It's you're putting almost too much thought into it. It's when you're at a trade show, your goal is to draw as much attention to your space and your product as possible. So how do you do that? There's several ways, but one of them is putting hot girls in scantily clad outfits in your booth, because
I understand that, but if you don't have an appointment for something, I'm thinking about this from a journalist standpoint. If I don't have an appointment for your booth, I'm not going to care about what's going on at your booth. As even if you have the hottest women possible, I'm like, I'm not scheduled for that. I'm not going to go see that. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't matter. Don't you remember? I don't think you remember how they used to do it, because I remember going to events and it was almost like a strip club. Like they would be.
No, I understand that, but I'm like, again, I'm looking at it from a journalist standpoint. I'm like,
you need to stop looking at it from a journalist standpoint.
No, I understand, but Brett, I have to say that as nerd, because that's what E3 originally was. Understand?
But okay, no, it's catering to journalists. The journalists are the customers. All right, it is a trade show. You are trying to get the attention of the journalists. It's not necessarily just for the journalists. It's you see that booth, you notice that booth, you notice that product, that they want to raise as much awareness. They want to be like, did you see the booth the booth over there with the racer chicks in it? Like it's it's more blanket than you're thinking. To them, it's not as precise as who do we want to get to see this booth. It's we want everybody to see this booth.
Yeah, I think I'm just thinking about it the way I would do business. I'm like,
Think
okay,
of it like an advertiser. Man.
Yeah, but because the thing is, like, when I've got, except for my first E3 when I didn't have any appointments, if I have appointments, the only booths I'm visiting are whatever I have appointments to. So you got the hottest chicks there. I'm not paying attention to you because I don't have. If I don't have an appointment for you, I don't care what the hell you're hawking. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but yeah. As I've said before, in different circumstances, boobs are not a laser-guided targeting system, man. They hit everybody in the room. So it would be more inconvenient for them to go out of their way to just pander to the people that they're looking for. It's easier for them to just pander to everybody.
But who is everybody when the trade show is nothing but journalists? Understand?
No, they're still trying to get some sort of attention.
Yeah. No, I understand. I was like, hey,
that's all they're really. They're trying to get you and get somebody in passing. Maybe pull somebody over and be like, hey, what's this thing with the with the people?
Yeah. Like, I understand why they have booth space. Obviously, back in the day, it was just mostly men. Let's just be real here. And men like girls with big tits and stuff. So they would go. I understand that, but I'm just thinking about it from like a work standpoint. I'm like, why would you go there if you're not, covering their game, But I understand, like, if you're a guy, maybe, you're not running a big publication. You're like, fuck it. Let's go see what this chick has to say,
They have to say, they never talk.
Yeah,
no,
they talk. They have to talk. They have to be sociable.
The ones that I seen didn't talk. I remember I went to a few and they didn't talk.
Torrance has told me stories about booth babes, man. They talk. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, going back to it, nowadays you cannot have booth babes anymore, man.
A lot of it now is just like if they do get somebody to man the booth, it's usually kind of cosplayers and fans that they get to be those sorts of people.
I'll come out and say that that's a shame too. Like, I just read an article about they're doing away with racing girls. Like, yay everybody who campaigned against booth babes. You successfully put a whole bunch of women out of work. I hope you feel real good about yourselves.
But I mean, here's the thing: at E3, there are still people that man those booths. They're just not always just women. So for instance,
booth babes were always superfluous, though. They weren't the people actually manning the booths. They were just standing.
No, I mean, like here's a good example. So for Mario Odyssey, right? The only way that there was a bunch of different types of kiosks and things that you could go to. There were also people in costume. They were also women. They were also men, and they would hand you the console, and they would let you play it on the console that they supposedly had with them. So there are people that are at these booths and do these sorts of things. They're just not exclusively just women.
No, but do you think booth babes, your traditional booth babes, would be the ones doing that otherwise?
I would think so. That's what they used to do. They used to hand you advertisements, and
that was it. That's what I remember them.
Yeah, they weren't in charge of babysitting the consoles.
Yeah, some of them would
I don't know, sweetie. Look at the pamphlet.
Yeah, when you're trying to ask them questions about, you got to talk to the developer.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember them ever talking. Like, oh yeah,
no, they talk. They talk. Especially like in my booth babe experience is mostly from Comic Cons where they actually still have booth babes. Yeah, they talk. They talk your ear off, son. They try to sell you their shit.
Yeah, I mean it's a job.
Yeah, but and I agree with you. It's like you just put all these women out of work, but
well, it's
progress, right?
Look, if you were going and just like roping women and being like, "Come on, you're gonna be a booth babe," or like being not transparent about what it is, but at least the booth babes that I've talked about and the articles that I've read about, like these racer girls and anything, like they're like, we know what the job is. We show up in short shorts and we stand there and we get paid a lot of money to just go, yay. It's pretty fucking great work. Like and some of these people, especially like the booth babes, like they were fans. Like they were basically cosplay girls that got paid, sponsored by a studio to like cosplay as their person,
which is still what happens.
Yeah, that still happens. Yeah, that still happens. Like,
no, that still happens. That's why, like, don't put those people out of work. Like, I don't defend booth babes and they're like lecherous, like, ooh, I love booth babes. But like, Jesus Christ, let some people work. Like, if a girl wants to stay scantily clad and draw attention to a booth, like, fucking let them. I've seen the way the advertising and the world works. I've seen the way the marketing world works. One of my coworkers used to work for advertising, and it's fucking terrible and insidious. And there are way more underhanded things to do, or that companies do to grab your attention. So at least in context, taking a girl and being like, "Hey, you want to wear this low cut top and stand in front of my table to draw attention?" Like, that seems like the most above board, most innocent thing that you can do just about in the advertising world. Because at least you're being fucking upfront about what you're doing. Nobody's getting hurt. People are making money and usually enjoying themselves. Like, let it be.
I completely agree. All right. And the last question for my man, who's still here with us, James William, with a very weird question, but we're going to answer it nonetheless. He goes, what do you think is more well-known in order? These things are Mario, Pokemon, Kirby, and the Powerpuff Girls. Random ass question.
Switch Kirby and Powerpuff Girls, and you have your list.
Yes,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
I agree. That's your list. That's your list right there. Mario's the most popular, then Pokemon, then Kirby, then Powerpuff Girls.
No, the other way.
No, then Powerpuff Girls, then Kirby.
Then Kirby, yeah.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah. Kirby, yeah. People don't know who the fuck Kirby is. Let's just be real.
It's a fucking shame. Kirby's such a cool character. He's basically Kid Chameleon.
Kirby is like a disembodied nutsack, if you think about it. You know?
I mean, I'm not.
The poster, man.
Yeah. Let's take character design and put it aside. I'm simply talking mechanics. Like the idea of the Kirby games are a cool game. Defeat enemies, steal their powers. It's a tried and true formula, man. And it's
yeah. No, he's asking me that
Games journalist Tony Polanco says Kirby is like a nutsack.
He disembodied nutsack. He got free of the body. He got free of the body and gained sentience. And now he's doing this shit.
Miyamoto asks for comment. Who the hell is Tony Polanco?
Whose nutsack is that smooth and pink, Tony?
No,
uniform for that matter.
Well, he's a very special type of nutsack. That's what I think when I thought Kirby. He's a nutsack, right? Oh man, that's where my mind goes, people. By the way, James says that I missed one. Which one is the one? What did I miss, man? Sonic? Oh, you had Sonic in there? Okay, let's throw Sonic into that one. Sonic is more popular than Kirby. Pokemon is more popular than Sonic. So yeah, there you go. Sonic's right in the middle. So this would be Mario, Pokemon, Sonic, Powerpuff Girls. Then Kirby.
I might argue that. I think if you walk up to people on the street, Sonic might give Pokemon a run for their money, because if you'd be like, "Hey, are you familiar with Pokemon?" They're like, "Oh, that weird game that people play." They might know. But if you're like, "Do you know who Sonic is?" They're like, "The Blue Hedgehog."
Yeah, no, you're right about that, because we're talking about all of popularity, not just video games, right? Yeah, you know what? Mario, Sonic, Pokemon, Powerpuff Girls, then Kirby. Yes, I think we got it. We nailed it. Random ass question, man. Are you smoking something, man, to ask us something so weird like that? But I
appreciate that question.
No, I like that. We like that stuff here on Throwdown, even though I don't partake in it myself. Hey, listen, smoke them if you got them. That's all I'm saying, man.
Tony Polanco says.
Hey, listen, a lot of game journalists are actually weed smokers. I'm not. I don't smoke that stuff. I drink. I'm an alcoholic. Actually, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a bad writer because I'm supposed to be an alcoholic, but I can't write when I'm drunk.
Tony Polanco admits to being an alcoholic and a bad writer.
Yes, that is true. Actually, I don't agree that I'm alcoholic, but I am a bad writer. Gabe the nerd asked, "Do you watch anime?" Yes, we all watch anime.
Do we?
Actually, Adam
from
doesn't.
time to time.
Possibly some of us have been watching anime longer than you have.
That is true. Depending on your age, I've probably been watching anime longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, from time to time. I meant from 12 to 34.
Let's just say that my father
got
me into anime.
Yeah.
I watched Candy, Heidi, Maya the Bee when I was like 1 year old.
Yo, my man Gabe. By the way, I love you for asking questions. We've all seen Sword Art Online. I think that Sword Art Online is one of those anime that pretty much any anime person has seen because it's just out there.
Yeah, that's like asking if you saw Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you ask, if you ask us, like, have you seen Kuroko no Basket? Then that's something different.
Kuroko no Basket is shit.
Yeah.
He's not implying that that's a classic, is he? Because if so, I'm going to call Youngblood on this guy.
Well, that goes back to what we said before. We've been watching anime longer than some of these dudes have been alive. You know.
No, but I think Brett is talking more towards the quality, right, than the aging part of it. Yeah, exactly. Because if you're comparing it to Winter Soldier, or you said Civil War, right, or Winter Soldier, one of those. Well, anyways, both of those are are better at being movies than Sword Art Online is at being an anime.
Now, if you said something, if this guy said, if you saw, hey guys, have you ever seen Royal Space Force Wings of?
Homie Amis, you know?
Yeah. Now, if he said that, that'd be like, whoa, okay, now you know some shit.
Yeah, if my man Rule said, hey, have you seen Violence Jack? Oh, now we could talk, brother.
Or now, whoa, okay.
You know?
Dude, even middle of the road shit, like, hey, have you guys ever seen Outlaw Star? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a good one. It's like Sword Art Online, everybody has seen Sword Art Online, you know?
Yo, man, if you tell me you watched Captain Tsubasa, I'll follow you on Twitter, man.
Yo, shout out to Shinatsky or...
They'd be like, yo, man, have you seen Eureka?
Yeah.
Or Eureka 7.
Shinatsky, a.k.a. Isaac, our Monster Hunter buddy, says, fuck Sword Art Online.
You know what, Isaac? Fuck half of Sword Art Online, because half of it each season is good.
Well, actually, no, I'm going to say... Because the first half of the first season was... Like, yo, if they kept on that level, it would have been epic. But then after that...
Elfen Online, and then, like, the second half of the first half of the second season, which is the Gun Guild, was the best part, and then it just went back into...
But compared to the original, though, man, nah.
Oh, yeah. The first half of Sword Art Online, the season 1, is the best part. And it's actually really good.
I think the others will back me up on this. Go watch Hunter x Hunter. There's a season in there that's what Sword Art Online should have been.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Oh, you're talking about Greed Island, right?
Yeah, I am. I still haven't finished that shit yet. Anyway, this episode of Otanime has been brought to you by...
All they have to do is ask if we watch anime, and we break into a 10-minute long discussion of anime.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Daniel J, we've answered that question before. Your favorite anime of all time, and this isn't the show for that.
Steins Gate. It's Steins Gate, Daniel J. You paid us money, man. I can answer that.
Yeah, that is true. He has paid us money. My favorite one is Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, the movie that got me into like proper anime. So that's my
Akira,
answer.
Baby.
All right, yeah, one word answers. Manny, what's your favorite anime of all time?
My favorite anime is Omae Shinderu.
By the way, that's my second favorite anime of all time. Brian.
And honorable mention.
Yeah, Brian, don't
Dagger
say
Kamui.
Nice. Don't say Gintama.
You guys went off like a massive tangent. Like I completely forgot what the question was.
What's your favorite anime of all time? Just one thing.
Afro Samurai.
Okay, there you go.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, and Adam.
Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh,
thank you. I was waiting for that. I was gonna have to put that in as
really got hooked on.
That shit is fucking art, yo.
Yeah. By the way, Gantz.
That's stylized, man.
Yeah, Gantz. I'm pretty sure Carlos is a fan of Gantz. I want to get into Gantz. I just haven't. There's a ton of anime I want to watch, but I'll probably never get to.
Watch Techno Man.
Techno Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to echo what Brett said. Go watch Hunter x Hunter. That's some of the best shonen anime you will ever watch. And it's not super long. It's like 100 and some episodes.
It's only 100 and something episodes.
It's only 100 something episodes.
Yeah, compared to One Piece, that's like 700.
All right, so let's start wrapping this up. So I'm going to throw up our little throwdown schedule here from Mr. Subgata. And also, again, Elite Profit, hit us up, brother. You want that prize, don't you? You want it fair and square, man. Hit us up. Okay, so thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition, and we'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco. I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
Omae wa Shinderu.
Carlos Romero.
Someone mentioned on Twitch, Erased. Erased is a good anime. It's not overrated. Go watch it. The live action is actually pretty good too.
Brian Manjoma.
There are 10 types of people in the world. Those that know binary and those that don't.
Brett Murdoch.
I don't why you always put me after Brian. You make me sound like a
Actually,
unsophisticated son of a bitch.
I switched things up. I usually leave Brian for last, but I'm like, let me switch this up. I'm gonna go to Brian now.
Brian always has life lessons. Then he come to me, motherfucker.
No, not last week. He was like, I don't have any life lessons.
He said he was playing. What was it?
Warframe.
Warframe. Yeah. That
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. I'll jump on the Carlos bandwagon there and be like, Hunter, you haven't seen it, watch it.
And Adam Vale, man.
Get hops for Black Ops 4. Get hype for
All right, man. We'll see you on Thursday, man. Later.
Dude, guys.
Peace.